Hey ambitious dentist, welcome to Start Your Dental Practice, the show for existing and aspiring dentists to take your dental practice to the highest possible level. I'm your host, Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV, founder of dentistmetrics.com. In every episode, we aim to demystify the how to start a dental practice problem by bringing on world-class dentists, influencers, and consultants in the dental industry to pick their brain about how to get past the barriers involved from going from no practice to being a practice owner to owning your own successful dental practice. Hello, ambitious dentists. Today, we are a little bit behind in getting this podcast out due to the holiday season. So today's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be one of the self-done podcasts. So it's just going to be me talking today. And I'm going to talk about something that we get a lot of questions about that we have to explain a lot. And that is what to expect from a dental accountant or dental CPA. What exactly is a dental accountant or dental CPA? What you need to know before you get into a relationship with a person that is a dental accountant or CPA, how they can be helpful to you, and how they can be a part of your career long term. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to get started right now. Okay, so what exactly is a dental accountant, dental CPA? It's a term that is used a lot in the industry. So to be clear, a dental accountant, dental CPA is a accounting professional or CPA that has dedicated their professional career to help dentists specifically. Now, there's a reason that people like me exist. And the reason that we exist is because dentistry is this really unique field that people like myself are driven to, because dentists are in this unique situation where there's really no other professional industry that I know of that starts out with a long educational career and then ends up as a business owner that has almost no business training involved. So an old saying that we like to say is that dentists spend about 15,000 hours learning how to become a dentist and almost 0 hours learning how to become a business owner. You take that profile of a business owner and you just see that there's a big lack of education there. So, counter to that, you take a CPA, someone who spends pretty much an equivalent amount of educational hours in learning how to be involved in business. Now, anyone who's ever been involved with business is going to tell you that being a business owner is much more valuable of an experience and education tool than anything you'll ever learn out of a book. So I don't feel like dentists lose a whole lot from not having a strategic management class in college, but it definitely would help kind of set that foundation for people. So CPAs, they have all this educational background, and then they go out into the big world and they learn all about taxes. Maybe they learn about audits, which an audit, for someone out there that isn't sure what an audit is, it's basically where you go into a business and you look at every little facet of how that business works from a process standpoint. So I have a little bit of history in audit, have a lot of history in tax. But that's really what the CPA cuts their teeth on. And over time, they become more and more involved in that process. They get to be more and more high level within the company, and they'll eventually start, training their the staff, the seniors, and they'll manage the process. And eventually, they'll become a partner in a CPA firm that has all these people underneath them that do all the work for them. And it's at that point more of a relationship building and business development part for the CPA. So the way that the dental CPA comes to exist most of the time is that in that process of the CPA, going through their professional career, learning about business, we find that there's this whole industry, which is dentistry, that the owners don't have this education. They don't have this hands-on experience that the CPA typically learns and comes into play with. So, for me personally, I was helping somewhere around 100 to 150 businesses a month when I was a generalist, 2 or 3 years ago, when I was helping the mechanic, with the dentist, with the repairman, with the oil company. I mean, I tell people all the time, I had clients that were doing hundreds of dollars a month in revenue, and I had clients that were doing hundreds of millions of dollars a month in revenue. So we really learned a whole lot about different businesses, how they work, the ebbs and flows, the ups, the downs in businesses. And we learned that over this very wide range of businesses. And so for me personally, whenever I started really digging in with my dental clients, I started seeing that there was this very, very interesting industry that I said, hey, I'm going to go out and try and help this industry because I've got this professional background, I have this professional education, and this is really going to work in this industry because that is lacking from so many of the business owners. And it is just this perfect little synergy, cohesive, symbiotic relationship that just really, really makes sense for a lot of dentists and a lot of CPAs. So, a lot of dental CPAs, that is how they kind of get into this industry. They see the need, they see the opportunity, they see the, just the fun of it. Because, the traditional CPA, when I say traditional CPA, I'm talking about somebody who does accounting, taxes, and maybe payroll. So the traditional CPA, a lot of them, they're happy just doing the stuff that they've always been doing, the things that they were trained in to just keep the stuff going. The dental CPAs, I found most of us, we just love this business because it makes so much of a difference in so many of our clients' lives that we're there to be able to help, be able to assist these practice owners in building a better business, being able to build a better lifestyle, and setting themselves up to do a lot of things that our input is incredibly appreciated by so many of our clients. It's so fulfilling to be able to do that rather than pulling back to what I was talking about beforehand, whenever we were just a compliance-based driven model of helping 100, 150 clients a month, just getting their accounting reports out and saying, here they are, we're mailing them to you. We know that you're just throwing them away after we give them to you, but this is our compliance-based requirements, so here you go. So I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but that is what a dental accountant is. It's somebody that is, professionally educated, has a lot of experience typically in business in general. They have found that there's these people out there, which are dentists, that have this need, that have this want, that have this questions that we can answer and that we prefer to answer and that we prefer to be able to give more value than the traditional services typically entail. So that is how most dental accountants that I know of came to be. Now, there are some that just saw that, hey, it's a specific vertical or a specific industry that we become really good at. It's easier to use marketing in and things like that. But most of those guys you don't really hear about a whole lot of. They're just people that are doing local marketing or something like that. They're not, casting a wide net. There's a lot of people out there that they really have a passion for the dental business model because we know about how we can add that value to our core services. So, that is what a dental accountant is. Okay, so now that I've explained to you what a dental accountant is or a dental CPA is, here's what a dental accountant isn't. So, dental CPAs are not some magical tax ninja that's going to make you never have to pay taxes to the government. That is not what we are. We do have a very, 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 very deep knowledge of the dental industry, and so we know how to apply that towards the Internal Revenue Code. Does that mean that we are the only people in the world that can save you money on taxes? The only people in the world, the only CPAs that know how the dental industry works? Absolutely, positively, 100% without a doubt, no. anyone who sells you, any dental CPA that sells you on the fact that they know, 100% more you're going to pay, 100% less in taxes because of them, run the other way. Number one, as a profession, whenever we are taught how to become CPAs, our ethical guidelines, we are taught that we are not, number one, we're not allowed to even say that. We're not allowed to say that that we can save you more money in taxes than other CPAs. It's just ethically the wrong thing to do, because we all are starting our bases from the same point, and that is the Internal Revenue Code. The Internal Revenue Code is what the government says is the rules and laws of how you apply situations towards taxes with your business. And so we're all starting from the same base. So if one person could save you more than another, that would mean they'd have to be going from somewhere else, or be, maybe they're philosophizing on how that revenue code exists towards that relationship differently, but that's not the case. And to be perfectly honest, if someone is selling that, if they ever come under audit, all these questions are going to come up, and ultimately the taxpayer is going to be the person that is injured by that. And so that's the reason we're not typically allowed to say those things. What I tell clients, and I'm very upfront about this, and this is probably not the most popular opinion amongst other dental accountants and other dental CPAs, but I know there's a lot of us out there, so don't be afraid to raise your hand if you're a CPA listening to this, because I know there are a few people out there that listen to this that are CPAs as well, that love the industry and just love listening to content like I do. And so what I tell most of my clients when I get on to them to talk about taxes is that a really, really, really fantastic general CPA is someone I call that does everything that what I used to be. A really, really great generalist CPA will save you the same exact dollars in taxes as the best dental CPA in the world. Won't make any difference at all from how much money you're paying in taxes. Typically, the reason that you'll go with a dental CPA is because they are going to be more likely to do a better job on your taxes. Why are they more likely? Given what I just said, not 2 minutes ago. The reason they are more likely is because a generalist CPA's business model is typically dictated by time. It's typically dictated by, I have this much time to get everything done in a day. My staff has this much time to get stuff done in a day. My clients pay us this much money per hour that we speak to people. And so we have this old-fashioned business model of we are only allowed to talk to our clients whenever we're charging them money. So it naturally changes the relationship between the CPA and the client to where communication is almost dissuaded, or it is not encouraged in a way. And the way you find these little special tax treatments is by having these conversations. For example, if you've had a meal that is, let's say it's a $150 meal that we see come up on your credit card. A dental CPA typically will charge a little bit more than a regular CPA will. And so the dental CPA will typically have the time and the availability to ask the client, hey, was this a office expense or was this meals and entertainment? Two very different things under the Internal Revenue Code. Every general CPA in the world knows the difference between those two. However, a general CPA, a lot of the times, they'll just plug that into meals and entertainment, which is only 50% deductible under the Internal Revenue Code, because they know if they make a phone call to the CPA, or to the client, and that client, if they call, there's, someone doesn't answer, they got to leave a message, they got to get a call back, they've got to answer the call, there's going to be small talk, and it's going to take, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of their time to get the answer of, yes, this was 100% deductible, or no, this was not 100% deductible. And, we'll say, a third of the time, that expense is going to be only 50% deductible, so there's not even a chance it's going to help the client. So they're going to have to call somebody and charge them probably about $75 just to get that question out there. So the dental CPA isn't typically under that same influence. The dental CPA knows these questions are going to come up, and that's already been built into their pricing model to be able to charge you for that kind of question. And just to use that same example, if it's $150, that means you're losing a $75 deduction if your general CPA can't have that communication with you. A $75 deduction, if you're in a 40% tax rate, that's that's $30 in taxes you're going to have to pay from that one transaction. If from the CPA's perspective, it's going to cost you $50 to $75 just for them to ask that question, it just doesn't make sense. So that's really the difference in the dental CPA and the traditional CPA. The dental CPA is going to have more time because they typically charge more, so it's easier for them to justify talking to you and communicating. Whenever you communicate, these issues get brought up, they can be explained, and you can save more money in taxes. So that's really the difference. It's not that they have some magical understanding of the Internal Revenue Code. It's that they have the business model set up to be able to ask you questions, and they know what questions to ask because they ask the same questions of every client. If this was a generalist CPA, they may be asking similar questions, but they may not ask that specific question. So that's really the difference. That's what a dental accountant is not. Again, it's not some magical CPA that can save you a ton of money in taxes just because they have the words dental CPA behind them. It's someone that has the time to talk to you a little bit more about your situation, and they have that same conversation with a lot of different people, so it doesn't take them as long to ask the question. They're a little bit more familiar. They know what to look for, and it just leverages time over time. So if you had a really, really great generalist CPA that just knew how to do all these things, they were just very, very in tune with their clients, very in tune with the business models, they can make this happen as well. But typically that generalist CPA business model doesn't adhere to that situation. So another thing that I tell a lot of people is that, that the generalist CPA will, taxes aside, they're not going to have an understanding of the business model in general, and the dental CPA will. They typically will understand, hey, if this is a bad year, how's your hygiene team looking? How many patients have came in this month? How many new patients have came in this month? And they can actually have that kind of conversation of, what's happening from a business perspective as well. Not every dental CPA is like that. Not every dental CPA has those conversations, but that's another pretty big difference in the dental CPAs and the generalist CPAs. So the last little point I want to make on that is that just because you have a CPA that's a dental CPA does not mean that you're going to be 100% assured they're going to be a good tax or just in general CPA. Everybody is at the mercy of who they're working with, unfortunately. And just like I said, a really, really fantastic generalist CPA will save you just as much money as a normal a dental CPA will. The problem is that you're not going to know if you have a really, really great general CPA until you've gone into the company, you've gone in and worked with the practice, gone in and worked with the general CPA. And even then, you may not know because this is a confusing industry. Being, the Internal Revenue Code, you pay somebody to interpret it for you effectively. You pay someone to help you with that compliance. And if you had this strong understanding of the Internal Revenue Code yourself, if you could tell if you're, if you were filing your taxes correctly, you'd probably be filing them yourself. So it's very, very difficult to figure out if you have that generalist CPA that's really, really good. And so you can validate your choice of using a dental CPA because of the fact that they are helping so many other dentists. And hopefully you're taking referrals. Hopefully you're asking peers about who they're using. Hopefully you're asking your CPA to give you referrals for their clients so that they can so that you can talk to your peers in your industry and make sure that that person has given at least a positive influence to other people within your industry. So that is what a dental accountant isn't. It's also a little bit more about what a general CPA, the differences in a general CPA and a dental CPA is. Now that we know what a dental CPA is, what they aren't, what the differences in a general CPA and a dental CPA is, you need to understand that not all dental CPAs are actually the same. There are some CPAs out there that specialize in starting practices. There are some that specialize in buying dental practices, acquiring practices. There are some that specialize in running practices. And then finally, there are some that just offer the traditional services that I talked about earlier in the discussion. And I call traditional services specifically accounting, which accounting is the logging of financial transactions, so logging what happens through bank accounts and producing a report that you take and at the end of the year typically turn into a tax return. There's payroll, which is the paying of employees and the paying of payroll taxes and filing of payroll tax forms. And then there's taxes, which are tax returns and tax compliance with the U.S. government, state governments, local governments, etc. So they're not all the same. Some companies have different influences. Typically, dental CPAs, they all offer their traditional services, but there are some out there that also do an extra specialization on top of that. For example, Eric DeVries with RealTime CPAs, he talks a lot about the dental industry. You can tell the guy loves the dental industry. I think their website is realtimecpas.com, and he specializes in being like an outsourced CFO of helping dentists with the running of the practice. Now he also helps with buying the practice and things like that, which a lot of people have. A lot of the people that go that step above, that value-added step above, they're pretty good at all of the pieces of the puzzle, but there's some people out there that specialize in one or two things of their own. So you really need to understand what you're looking for. And so I've boiled down what people are quote-unquote looking for into 5 different categories, really. To figure out what you're looking for, you need to be looking for, you need to be figuring out, do you want someone that's just a tax specialist? I just had a phone call last week with a dentist out of California, and all he was looking for was someone that could just do his taxes. He wanted someone that could come in and make sure he wasn't paying too much in taxes, and then give him advice and help him fill out his tax returns at the end of the year. I said, that's great. I'm glad you understand what you're looking for. Unfortunately, that's not what my business model is. That's not what we do. We fully help dentists in the accounting, taxes, as well as coaching. And I told him, I said, we're really good at the taxes. We can do the taxes. We can make sure you're not paying too much in taxes, very easily. However, because of the fact that we do all these other things as well, you really don't fit into our client mix. And so it'd be a disservice to us and our other clients if we were to take you on for that. If you're looking for just a tax specialist, there's a lot of people out there that can do that for you and do a really good job for you. Again, there may even be somebody in your local area that's a generalist CPA that could be able to do that for you. Unfortunately, that comes with all the problems and risks we talked about a little bit earlier in the episode. But if that's what you're looking for, there's a lot of really good tax people out there that you could probably find and do research on. Look for people that are speaking about it, and they'll knock you out a really, really good tax return. Unfortunately, if you're just looking for someone to do your taxes, from a personal perspective, my company is not the company for you, but there are companies out there that can absolutely do a tax return for you very, very well. Tim Lott, I believe, does a really good job with taxes. I think that's kind of his specialization is taxes. There's a lot of people out there that do that. So that's the first one, is the tax specialist. If you're just looking for a tax specialist, then there's people out there that can just do the tax return for you. Now, just as a quick aside, the 5 different people I'm telling you about now, You might find someone that is all 5 of these people. You might find someone that is all 5 of these people. You might find someone that's only 4 of these people, 3 of these people, 2 of these people, 1 of these people. But these are basically the different categories of people out there that I've seen in the industry. So number 2 is a bookkeeper. So a bookkeeper is typically someone who's doing your accounting services. That is someone who's logging your transactions and getting them in there to where you can have some type of financial report. Now, this is the area that I find there's a very, 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 very wide range of good bookkeepers and terrible bookkeepers. And accounting plays into this as well. So, most people think accounting, they think bookkeeper, but in reality, what happens to financials at the end of the month is that there is some, I don't want to say massaging, but there is some adjusting to those financials so that they will have a closed set of financials. And that closed set of financials may be some adjustments to some different categories of transactions that the bookkeeper didn't do while they were logging those transactions, just because that's not their training. But the bookkeeper is typically the person that logs the transactions, and an accounting person typically is someone who comes in behind the bookkeeper and makes those adjustments. They aren't, they may be the same person. They're not always. For example, in my company, we have someone that she does all of the logging of the transactions, as well as she closes the month out, and then it's reviewed by a CPA that they actually look over their work, make sure all the adjustments are done correctly, so that the financials come out to the person and very, very accurate. So the bookkeeper's job is to log transactions and be a part of the process of creating these financial reports. So if you're looking for someone that's just going to be doing the logging of those transactions for you, you're looking for a bookkeeper is what you're looking for. If you're not worried about taxes, if you're not worried about anything else, if you're just looking for someone to log those transactions, to keep you up to date, to keep those financial records in line, then that's who you're looking for. Now, the thing that's so interesting for bookkeeping is that it's most often thought of this necessary evil in any business, to be honest with you. But I found that there is so much lost value in the bookkeeping process, because those reports that are being given out, general CPAs, they typically send them out, and I'll be honest with you, we all knew whenever we were doing that we were sending these reports to people, and that 90% of the time they were getting thrown away. We actually polled our clientele and asked them, how many CPAs have you had that have actually gone through your financial reports with you and told you what these things actually mean? We found that 90% of our clients that came to us that had a prior relationship with the CPA had never even been explained what these reports meant. And that is, to be quite honest with you, a giant, giant problem. If you are out there and you have a CPA and you receive these financial reports that they're doing the accounting and bookkeeping for you, you are throwing money away, because they're providing something to you that you're not using. And believe me, they're charging you for it. So bookkeeping and accounting, I didn't mean for this to go on as long as it did, but the bookkeeping and accounting process is so, so, so valuable if done correctly. But I've found that there's so many old school mentalities about bookkeeping that it's not valuable. And the reason it's typically not valuable is because the person that's doing it is usually the lowest paid person on the totem pole, and the person that's the highest paid person on the totem pole doesn't want to teach them how to do that correctly, or spend the time to show them how to do it, or be ahead of that process to make sure it's done correctly. Because what happens, the client typically throws it away, and it's because of communication. Again, the report gets generated, it gets sent to the client, and the client doesn't do anything with it because the accountant or CPA doesn't talk to them about it. So the accounting company charges for these reports. They're charging for this service. The client is receiving the product and effectively throwing it away or ignoring it. The CPA can't charge for that time typically to explain those reports, because it eats up a lot of time. Communication takes time. So In our company, we make sure that every one of our clients understands their reports. We make sure that they receive the value from those reports that they should be receiving. And it makes a difference, because what happens? You look at these reports, you find issues, you find low-hanging fruit, you set up a game plan, and then you track it with, guess what? The accounting and bookkeeping. That's how you track these things. You keep an eye on them and you monitor it over time. What's measured is improved. You focus in on things and your numbers just get better and you make more money. I don't know why people don't do more of this. I don't know why more people don't speak about this, but I digress. I went off on a tangent. I could probably do a whole episode about accounting and bookkeeping, of why that's so important and so paramount and so valuable and so missed in the industry. So the second person you're looking for is an accountant or bookkeeper, someone who's logging your transactions and creating these financial reports that are just a part of doing business, keeping up with your numbers and making sure you don't get behind. The third one is a compliance person, someone who is just there to help you keep on top of the different financials or different reports or different tax returns you've got to send out. So that might be, tax returns, that might be franchise taxes, that might be personal property tax returns you file every year, that might be sales and use tax forms for your state or local places. It may be helping you fill out your Bank of America practice heartbeat information. But that's a compliance person, someone that's just there to help you with all that extra stuff. And that's something that's somewhat unique to the dental CPA industry. You aren't going to find a whole heck of a lot of generalist CPAs that are going to be willing to fill out your Bank of America practice heartbeat information for you. The next one is financial advisor. So this is something that, again, I'm probably going to go on a tangent here, is that there is, when I say financial advisor, I am speaking specifically about someone who is doing your financial investments, someone who is managing your financial investments, someone who is managing, you're taking money out, you're putting it into something like a retirement fund, into an investment that goes into like the NASDAQ or something that's publicly traded, or, unfortunately, some people within 401ks will have like family limited partnerships or things like that, managing your 401k, doing insurances, things like that. That's a financial advisor. And I find a lot of people search for dental CPAs that are financial advisors. To me, and again, I'm not afraid to say what I feel about these things, but there's not a whole, to me, and again, I'm not a financial analyst. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't do that. I'm not interested in it. But I don't see why a financial advisor, other than the communication tool that we talked about earlier, would need to specialize in the dental industry, other than the fact that dentists typically are able to amass wealth over time. And so they like to focus on that industry because they can make money off of it. But if you're looking for a financial advisor, this is the number one place I would say. There's probably a million people out there that can do just as good as a dental specific person. There's no unique risk assurance ratio for the dental industry that I know of. And again, I'm shooting from the hip here. I could be wrong. If someone out there is a financial analyst or a financial advisor for dentists, that they've got some special way of doing things, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it. But my personal experience with people who are CPAs, who are financial advisors, is that there is a natural bias towards steering people towards investments. Not every person is going to do this. Mark my words. I understand I'm speaking a lot about this right now, but believe me, there are people out there that are not going to be biased. But every dental CPA I've spoken with has experience in seeing these returns where people who are dental specific, that are tax specialists as well as financial advisors, steer people towards investments first over tax advice and business advice. And it's very, very, so I have to be careful on how I say this. It may not, the person giving that advice can phrase that however they want to say that is good advice because that's what they believe. Ethically, they can say that. That's how they actually have to say it ethically. However, from a smell test, from does this make sense for us to not take a deduction in order to put money over here into investments? It just doesn't make sense. I've inherited clients that have $300,000 in losses that are carried forward from the prior year. When I say carried forward, that means they had a loss in the prior year that didn't get used, unutilized. Yet the prior person advised the owner to pay themselves into that loss. So if they wouldn't have paid themselves as much money, they wouldn't have taken the loss, just so they could put money into financial investments. Sounds okay from that smell test, but the problem with that is that they don't get the deduction, but they have to realize the income. So let's say that $300,000 example I was talking about, that means that person over the lifetime of that relationship, they took $300,000 in income, but received no deductions, no expenses for that pay. So they realized $300,000 in phantom income. You say, well, where did that money come from? How did they pay that? Typically what happens is that these people are telling people to go out and get these loans to finance them paying the money into their investment. So again, I'm getting off on a tangent here, and I promised myself I wasn't going to do this on this one. But if you're just looking for a financial advisor, heed my warning. Get a second opinion at some point if you've been in a relationship with a company that's a dental-specific company that handles financial advisory services as well. There are people out there, I'm certain, that are fantastic CPAs, fantastic dental CPAs that are also fantastic financial advisors, and that they don't steer you in these crazy ways to set up your tax issues. But I've heard it, I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've inherited clients that have had this terrible advice. I've brought other firms up to my accounting board in the state of Arkansas in regards to this because I feel like it's predatory. My accounting board said we could bring them up on charges for this, but we can tell you it will be dropped at our first board meeting whenever we discuss this, because every single CPA on that board is going to say there's no way we can prove this is malice or negligent advice, because that CPA could have thought that was the best thing for that client, regardless of what we think. They can say that they feel like that was the best advice. So anyway, that's the fourth person, financial advisors, people that handle investments. Sometimes they'll handle life insurance, disability insurance, whole life insurance, term insurance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things like that. So there's a lot of CPAs out there that do those types of things. Buyer beware. Hopefully I've given you some of my opinions about those types of people. There's fantastic ones out there, but there are plenty of predatory ones as well. Be prepared. Be aware. And I'll tell you this: if you think that you may be a victim to one of these guys, send me an email, jonathan@dentistmetrics.com. I will review your tax return for free, just to help you make sure that you aren't being taken advantage of, because it pisses me off to no end that these guys are out there. They soil the name of dental CPAs, they soil the name of CPAs in general, and they take advantage of people that I love serving. So again, wow, when I went to create this podcast, this episode, I did not expect to be talking about that. So anyway, the last one is just business advisors, people that help dentists from a business perspective. And that's someone like myself. That's someone who helps them understand the financial reports. We help you, adapt and adopt technology into your firm. We look at other people in the industry. We talk to other people in the industry, consultants. For example, I have clients that will come to me with hygiene issues that come up, and I'll go talk to a hygiene consultant about that specific issue, just as a courtesy, because I've maybe sent that person a referral before. They sent me a referral. We've connected. We both love the business of dentistry, and we talk about that problem, and we help the practice owner with just telling them what what was said in the industry. If they can't implement that themselves, believe me, that is a win-win. The consultant will give me that information all day long, because if the practice can't get that implemented, that one small piece of advice implemented, guess who's going to be the first referral? It's going to be that consultant, somebody that I've met within the industry, someone I've met within my client's ecosystem that I've seen give results, and I can really quickly help my practice by giving them someone who has fixed that same problem somewhere else, and that's a business advisor, CPA. And that's someone who just can help with that. We can help with other things. We've helped people with looking at, how much they're paying in credit card processing fees, helping them understand, where they should be from as far as how much they spend in dental supplies and things like that. So those are the 5 different people. There's the tax specialist, there's the accounting and bookkeeper, there's the compliance person, there's a financial advisor, and then there's the business advisor. You could have somebody that does all 5 of these. You could have somebody that does one of these. But what you need to understand, what you need to figure out is, of those 5 people, of the tax specialist, of the bookkeeper accountant, of the compliance person, of the financial advisor, of the business advisor, what of those 5 do you need? Which of those 5 do you need? Do you need all? Do you need a few? Is it important for you to have someone that does all of those things? For instance, if you want someone that does all those things, that is not me, because I am not a financial advisor. If you want someone that can, possibly be 4 of those things and then refer one of those things out, very, very easy to refer out the financial advisory services. We do it all the time. It's a little bit more difficult to refer out the accounting and bookkeeping, because we personally use those reports to guide a lot of our discussions. So if you were wanting to use someone like Dentist Metrics, you'd have to take us on as the accounting, bookkeeping, and business advisor. We actually don't even make people use us for the tax stuff. We can help as a sounding board for the tax stuff, but that's not what our core business model is. Tax is just a part of the conversation. We're trained on it. We can do it, so we'll do it. But my true love and my true passion is helping people with the business part of it, which a core component of that is going to be your financials, tracking your numbers, being understanding of where you're going. So the bookkeeping accounting person, we typically need to be that person too. We've made exceptions in the past, but it typically seems to work the best if we are that person as well. This actually I went off on a few tangents more than I expected myself to. I'm never afraid to talk to people about how I feel about the dental industry, how I feel about the CPA industry, because those are 2 industries that I just love. I am a huge business nerd. I love the CPA profession. I love being a CPA for people. I love the business of dentistry, because I know that I can provide that extra layer of value that just can't be done in a lot of situations. And honestly, we don't talk a whole lot about it in this podcast. But if you have any other questions as far as how this process works, feel free to reach out to me, jonathan@dentistmetrics.com. And for today's bonus, I'm actually going to allow you to have a free consultation with me and my company. So if you're interested in that free consultation, just text the word practice to 33444. That is practice to 33444, and we will set up a time for you and I to speak for 30 minutes, 45 minutes about how we help practices. Maybe I could help you in your situation, and see just if that would be a good mix. So it is, when I'm recording this, it is Monday, November the 30th, 2015, and I only have so much time in the day, so this is only going to be available for 2 weeks. So we may be a little bit of a delay in getting this out. So this is going to be available for 2 weeks up until, we'll say, December the 15th is what we'll say, is how long this offer will be good for, because again, I only have a certain amount of time. So if you want in, you need to text the word practice to 33444 for a free consultation for me to talk to you about your business, how we can help out, and if you need help with anything that's going on in your business and wherever you are in the life cycle of your practice, whether you're about to be buying a practice, you've already bought a practice, you've been in practice, etc. Doesn't matter. If you just want to chat with me for 30 to 45 minutes, I'm okay with that too, because I love talking about this kind of stuff. So this offer is good until December the 15th, 2015. If you didn't get in, if you're listening to this after December the 15th, 2015, shoot me an email and we might be able to work something out but that is what is that is the limit of what I'm going to commit to right now is 2 weeks of that free consultation offer. So, all right, guys, have a great day. So that's it for today's episode, but that doesn't mean that the learning and implementation have to stop there. I've created a free report called The 15 Numbers That Will Make or Break Your Dental Practice. This report has been downloaded over 1,000 times by dental professionals. So if you want your free copy of this report that's going to outline what the most important numbers are in any dental practice, and it also includes how to look at your numbers, how to set goals, has a whole slew of really important information that is the culmination of all of my experience as a dental CPA, then just go to startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. That is startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. And so that's it for today, Ambitious Dentist. Again, I'm Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV. I'll see you next week with another world-class practice owner or consultant that will help you start your very own dental practice. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Start Your Dental Practice community. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor and go to startyourdentalpractice.com/iTunes to leave your honest feedback and review on iTunes. It's going to help me create a better experience, a better show, a better podcast for you, the ambitious dentist. Your feedback really does help, regardless if you like the show today or not. If you didn't like the show, let me know, because it's going to help me create a better show and podcast for you. Lastly, if you know of anybody that would benefit from today's episode and today's content, today's guest, please feel free to share with them on social media or through email.